Jessie.
Jessie.
I don't want you girls to shout at your mummy and daddy anymore, to be rude like this. I don't want to do it no more.
All right, rambunctious kids have the super nanny. We thought we'd get some tips for rambunctious town hall protesters on both sides. And who better to ask than the one person who wrote the book on classy behavior. I'm talking about Countess LuAnn de Lesseps. She's the author of Class with the Countess and one of the stars of The Real Housewives of New York. Countess, great to have you.
Thank you, Neil. It's great to be here.
I've been following these events, and they're emotional events, and both sides get pretty worked up, and there's a lot of shouting and name calling. You're saying cool it on both sides, right?
I think that, you know, although in America we have healthy debating, I think by hurting people's feelings and by making them feel uncomfortable, shows a lack of respect, and I don't agree with that. It's bad manners.
All right, but sometimes you can't nicely.
I have a section on my book.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I have a section on my book which is dedicated to the art of making people feel comfortable. Because at the end of the day, it's breaking down barriers and connecting with people that makes people feel comfortable, and I think that's what manners in class is all about. Which
is why you say this is the first treatise I violate on this show quite often. People tell me, don't interrupt. Don't interrupt. And you're saying when you do that, you're taking the whole oxygen out of the room, right?
Yeah, I think that by interrupting people when they speak is a no-no, and which happens all the time. I think people have to keep an open mind and listen to what people have to say. I think by being respectful of others that you gain respect, and I think that you should try not to be judgmental, because when you judge, you stop listening.
Yeah, I thought of that when you were saying that, and like I said, don't be judgmental and all that. But if someone thinks they're getting a song and dance or they're being hoodwinked, you can't nicely say, my good sir, I think you're hoodwinking me, or ma'am, you seem to be taking all the money out of my wallet for this. Sometimes a little passion's in order, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think there's tactful ways of saying things. Instead of saying, you know, you're wrong or you can't be serious, there's tactful ways of saying it, like there's other ways of looking at this issue, or in my opinion, or I disagree, but I think it's in the delivery. I really do.
I can see what you mean about the delivery,
but you approach people.
But I mean, if these guys are approaching you condescendingly and talking to their minions, their constituents, their bosses, really, and they're not answering their questions, or they're being dismissive of the questions, or if the questions get hot, they turn around and say that they're un-American, then people are going to get upset, right? And they're free to get upset.
Of course, they're free to get upset. We have freedom of speech in this country, and people are free to speak their minds, but I think there's a way of doing it so that you get your point across and without getting heated. I think when it goes there, that you really don't get your point across, and I think that a lot of things get missed in the interim. So I think there's ways of approaching with tact.
And you say you're giving failing grades on both sides for their behavior, right?
What's that?
Are you giving failing grades on both sides for their behavior?
Well, I think that they're not solving anything. By going back and forth at each other. I think that really nothing is getting resolved. And I think the health care plan is basically new, and I think it needs time. Look at Obama took 6 months to pick out a dog, like Huckabee said last night.
Well, good point,
It took him 6 months to pick out a dog, so the health care system is going to take a while.
Yeah, even it could be a dog of a plan. You're right. Countess, thank you very, very much. We appreciate the tips. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
When we come back at 2, G.I. Joe, when an American hero falls into an American old story.